guys, it's Kales and it's been a little while. Long story short is I got really sick and I sounded like I had ducks shoved up my nose and frogs shoved down my throat. I know it's not a pretty picture, but it wasn't really conducive to making videos. And then my boyfriend was in town and I was hanging out with him. There was a delay on videos and I had this other video that I had planned, but then it didn't really work out, and so yeah, here I am like 4 or 5 days late on my May wrap-ups. That I read I actually got from my library, so I don't have them here. You'll see a picture somewhere here. And the first one of those was a graphic novel called The Storyteller, which was a bunch of artists coming together to tell different folk tales and stories. And it was cool to see the different styles and definitely cool to see folklore from different countries. And I really liked how it was one cohesive book, so that was really interesting about it. Another book that I read in the month of May was one of my absolute favorite books I've read, and the reason I don't have it is because I loaned it to my sister who's in Europe currently, and it is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Holy cow, this book was a 5 out of 5 stars for me because I just thought it was brilliant. I thought that it was awesome and amazing, and it was so heartbreaking and so beautifully written. Some of the sentence structure alone just had me swooning. It's one of those books where like all these different pieces and then you don't know how they're going to connect and then they do and you're like, it's one of those and it's brilliant and you should pick it up because it's absolutely amazing. Plus the cover feels really cool just from a textile sensory standpoint. Another book that I read in the month of May was another one of my favorites that was a 5 out of 5 stars, and it was called City of Thieves by David Benioff. Currently it's sitting on a bookshelf in a play that I'm stage managing, a prop, so it's not here. And I learned about it from Reagan at Peruse Project, and I picked it up because it sounded right up my alley, because it is World War II, Leningrad, 2 men, they get sent to go get eggs for the chief of Russian police daughter's wedding cake. Yeah, chaos ensues and it's awesome. And it was brilliant and wonderful, and I wish they would turn it into a movie, but I figure if he wanted to turn it into a movie, David Benioff would, because he's the showrunner for Game of Thrones, and he's well connected in that world, so I don't know. I want a movie, maybe I'll adapt it. The last book that I read that I don't currently have in my possession is called Girl Online, and it's about a blogger from London who falls in love with this boy in New York. It's by another YouTuber, Zoella, but this book was just not one of my favorites. I found that the lead character was kind of just silly, and like I didn't really like her, and so it was hard for me to follow her story and her voice, and it also just seemed a little lame. I just didn't enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy the characters, I didn't enjoy the storyline, and it felt like very Disney Channel movie to me. It would do great in like that medium. I just don't think that this book was my type. Meh. On to the books that I actually have in my possession. I read Rebel Belle and Miss Mayhem by Rachel Hawkins. This is the first one, and this was in from my TBR jar for May, and this was the sequel that after this one I had to go out and buy, because holy cap, this one was awesome. Like, it was so cool. It started out really lame, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't a big fan of Harper and her tone of voice, but then as she like started to get into the whole Paladine thing, I was really excited, and by the end of it I couldn't put it down. So I had to go pick up Miss Mayhem, which is the second one that just came out, and I was really disappointed. This one was not anywhere up to the standard of this one. It was a really disappointing sequel, and it doesn't surprise me because that's what a lot of people have been saying about it. My biggest hope is that the third one ties it all together, because at the end of this one did not make me want to go read the third one. But I'm gonna, because of this one. That's how good this one was. 4.5 stars and like 3. Maybe 2.5. The next book I read was absolutely wonderful and adorable, and I got it from my friend Jenna. Jack and Louisa Act 1 by Andrew Keenen-Bolger and Kate Wetherhead. This book was adorable. I read it in a single day, in a single sitting, and for musical theater lovers and just theater nerds in general, it was fantastic, and I loved getting to see these 2 kids become friends and their storylines, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it's by 2 of my favorite Broadway actors, so I am in full support of this book, and I just want Jack and Louisa to be my best friends. Truly, they're adorable. Finally, the last 2 books that I read in the month of May were finishing the Ruby Red trilogy with Sapphire Blue and Emerald Green. I sped through Sapphire Blue. read it in like 2 days, had a lot of time to read, and was really excited for this. And then I was like, I kind of feel like I need a break from this trilogy. This was the first book I finished in May, and this was the last book I finished in May. They're good about 120 pages difference. I don't know why, but this book dragged. I was so sad when we got to the ending and like nothing happened. It was such a pathetic climax, so just built up to nothing and then just all silly. And I was like, why? It made all the time traveling stuff lame and like focused completely on the romance, which was fine, but it wasn't well done, and I was sad, and it was a sad conclusion to such an epic trilogy that did such a good job of just setting up all this coolness, and then it was like, I was really sad. I don't know if I would recommend the whole trilogy to people because this one was really disappointing, and I felt like it was more filler. Like, these extra 120 pages was just like lame conversations that were not pertinent to the plot at all. I don't know, it's hard because it was so good, but it didn't end well, and I don't know, give it a try. Maybe you'll like it better than I did. So, needless to say, those were a lot of books that I read in May, even though it doesn't really look like it, because I don't actually have them all, but it was 9. I read 9 books in the month of May. If you guys have any book recommendations for me to read, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, guys, bye! I was really sad. Ugh. Meh.